It's Dorm Room Sports Chat. I'm your host, Emmy Comia, with analyst Evan Murray, UATV Sports Director Joey Petrello, and analyst Salva Carmona. Dorm Room Sports Chat starts right now. Another episode of Dorm Room Sports Chat. I'm your host, Emmy Comia, and I'm joined tonight by our three analysts, Evan Murray, Joey Petrello, and filling in for Salva Carmona tonight is UATV sports reporter Danny Passavoy. Tonight, we discuss Arizona football's win over Utah, how Pac-12 football was shaken up this weekend, and we'll give you a preview of tomorrow's Arizona basketball game against Long Beach State, followed by the Cat Report and an NFL West Coast rundown. We'll wrap it up with a game of 30 seconds. Last night, Arizona football traveled to colder pastures to face Utah. Matt Scott was back in action for the Wildcats. He missed last week's game against Colorado. Scott threw for 160 yards and a touchdown in Arizona's 34-24 victory. Evan, how much did Scott being back help the Cats out this weekend?
Well, I think more than anything, it was probably a comfort thing. But Matt Scott had 160 yards passing, one touchdown for himself, and 74 yards rushing. So I wouldn't say he had a bad game by any means. He had a great game. He definitely, I think, he's just a comfort for the Arizona Wildcats. It's never bad to have your starting quarterback back. So I thought it was great to have him back.
Yeah, his leadership presence there on the field was definitely a big help for the Wildcats. He did look a little rusty throwing the ball. Right. However, he looked good on his legs running. So I think it definitely helped having him back in the lineup.
Yeah, I thought he looked all right. Like, he obviously started off pretty poor. He started off the game 3 of 10 passing. However, he was able to get outside the pocket, run for the first down. However, on some of those plays, it looked like he was kind of missing a step. And he was kind of slow off the feet. And I think that's part of the reason due to his injury. But he'll come back this week against ASU strong. This was kind of a transition game for him coming off a concussion. That's pretty tough.
Definitely.
But he still played pretty well.
And he's never played in that sort of weather, this season. Yeah, it was really cold at that game. A lot of players wearing long sleeves. Matt Scott wasn't wearing long sleeves, but still it was just interesting to see how the players responded to that cold weather.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering if that was going to be an issue or not.
I know that was a concern for Coach Rich Rod, talking about the elevation, the players wearing the weather caps, and a little bit of rain in there too. But Kadeem Carey steps in to help out a little bit. Danny Carey put up big numbers again last night. He rushed for 204 yards. And do you think he's our Pac-12 Player of the Year?
Oh, well, he's definitely making a case for it. Right now, he's leading the country in yards and rushing yards with 1,584, 19 touchdowns to go along with that. He's putting up incredible numbers. But guys like Marcus Mariota, guys like Jonathan Franklin, and wide receiver Marquise Lee out of USC, these guys are having unbelievable seasons. Mariota, just a freshman, bringing Oregon all the way up to number 2. However, they just fell off. That could really hurt his kind of standing in the Pac-12 Player of the Year. However, right now, Kadeem Carey playing unbelievable football, just crushing it the last few weeks. Right now, he's my Pac-12 Player of the Year.
I mean, I don't see why not. You have he's leading the nation in rushing yards. Okay, obviously not on a nationwide is he the Player of the Year, but Pac-12, there's definitely a case for that.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's the Heisman.
No, exactly.
Next year, though, watch out for Kadeem Carey as a Heisman candidate. I think he could definitely.
He's definitely been put on the radar.
Be in the running for next year's Heisman. But yeah, as you guys were saying, he leads the nation in rushing yards. He's got 19 touchdowns. However, you can make a strong case for Marquise Lee, as you were saying as well. He leads the nation in total receptions and total receiving yards with 107 receptions, 1,605 receiving yards, and he's also got 14 touchdown grabs, which is 3rd in the NCAA. So, that kind of makes me lean towards Marquise Lee a little bit in this situation, as much as I like Kadeem Carey.
Well, I was personally a little bit disappointed that Kadeem Carey hasn't gotten enough national coverage. He hasn't even been mentioned for Doak Walker, which is the running back award. He beat out Jonathan Franklin the past 2 weeks, and Jonathan Franklin is all over the national news. Do you think he should at least be in Heisman talks, or at least for Doak Walker, specifically for running backs?
I think he definitely could be in Heisman, like as a Heisman watch. I mean, Kenyon Barner was until he got hit with the injury bug the last few weeks. And Kadeem Carey has completely taken his place. So as far as the top running back in the nation goes, he definitely should be in that category. But guys like Johnny Football, Johnny Manziel, Colin Klein, and Monty Te'o, they will easily get the looks before Kadeem Carey will this year.
Yeah, I agree with that.
All right, well, Joey, yesterday UCLA won the Pac-12 South after defeating the preseason favorite, USC. And then Oregon was also upset yesterday by Stanford, and the Ducks finally showed that they can be beaten. Does UCLA have a shot at winning the Pac-12 conference against the North?
This would be a lot easier to determine if both teams had already played one another this year. However, I mean, they haven't played each other this year, and they're both two different teams than they were last year. Oregon is ranked 5th in rushing yards in the NCAA. They rank 2nd in points with 51.1 points per game overall. I think that them being held to 14 against Stanford was a fluke. I don't think that UCLA's defense is going to be able to contain Oregon's offense like Stanford was able to do. So I think in the end, when these two teams finally clash together to determine who will win the Pac-12 overall, I'm going to go with Oregon.
I think UCLA definitely has a shot of winning this game for a few different reasons. One, UCLA is excellent in the run. Oregon's rush defense, their defensive line, they're a bunch of backups right now. They are hurt. At one point 2 games ago, not one of them was in the game because all 4 of them were hurt. UCLA is very effective on offense. They move the ball down the field very well, and they score, and they're excellent in the red zone. I think that they can definitely keep up with Oregon. However, their defense was able to shut down Arizona's defense that was one of the best in the country at the time. UCLA is a very good team, and they will be able to keep up with Oregon in the Pac-12 championship game.
Yeah, I'm with Joey. I think that Oregon's going to win this game. Am I completely impressed with UCLA this year? Absolutely. I think they stunned a lot of people. But I think Oregon's going to pull through with it. Once again, I kind of thought it was a fluke as well that Stanford kept them to 14 points. They're better than that, and I don't think they're going to give up the UCLA game.
But what kind of is a very similar between Stanford and UCLA, they both have huge physical, defensive-minded defensive lines. And they're big guys, and they were able to kind of pound the offensive line, get to Mariota, flush him out of the pocket, and kind of ruin plays, not let plays develop. If UCLA is able to break through the line like Stanford did, they might be able to hold Oregon to somewhere around 21, 28 points. I don't think that they'll win this game. I think Oregon will win. However, I think it'll be a lot closer game than people expect.
Yeah, and another thing is UCLA's momentum is there. Like, I don't think that they feel that
they're rolling right now.
And so that's huge. And when you're Oregon, you don't really ever lose that momentum, I feel like. So I don't feel like that was a problem with them losing against Stanford. But UCLA just has that. I mean, they look like they're having fun all the time. And that's great in a football team. And I don't think that they'll be real intimidated by Oregon.
They have the momentum. They have the coaching to do it. They have the right players. But I think just in the end, that Oregon team is just too speedy, too skilled. They've been in all these big games before playing for the Pac-12 title, which they've won pretty much every time. And so I think it's going to be Oregon in the end. And like you were saying with the defensive line, they're banged up there, but they're going to have time to rest those players in time for the Pac-12 championship game. And they're going to have all those guys back most likely. So I'm going with Oregon.
Yeah, I mean, it's always hard to see Oregon lose as part of the Pac-12. We've only gotten used to seeing them lose in the SEC or in a championship bowl. So I think it'll definitely be an underdog story if UCLA comes out on top. But as we look forward back in Arizona football, the team takes on cross-state rival ASU. It's always a tough game. The rivalry games are always a gamble. We're in town this year. What do you guys think is going to happen this coming Friday?
Well,
she's been looking forward to this, everyone.
I know.
She's really been looking
forward to it.
I can't wait to hear this.
Okay, I think that U of A is going to come on top. Not only because we're at home, which I've looked back on the last 4 or 5 years, it really doesn't make a difference to ASU or U of A where they're playing. It doesn't I feel like you can throw out records, you can throw out you can throw out anything, and it's really down to who wants it the most, who's going to be the most disciplined, and who's the toughest. And Todd Graham said all this, and I completely agree with him. So I'm just hoping U of A wants it the most, and it seems like you'd want to finish your season off like that. I mean, I don't see where we can't win. I feel like we're the stronger team, but once again, a rivalry game, it's so hard to predict.
And, you know, some things that are interesting about ASU that makes this game really hard to predict is that ASU lost to USC by 21 points. They lost by 10 points to Oregon State. They played a much closer game with Oregon than U of A did, and a much, much closer game with UCLA
Yes.
than we did. So it's really hard to predict this game. However, you know, it's the biggest game of the year for both teams right now. Just like last year, you know, it like you were saying, it really doesn't matter in the end besides who wants it more on that specific day, who's going to come out and who's going to really come through for their team and set one another apart from this rivalry, because it's been these games have been so crazy over the past few years. Like, look at last year, the year before that, so close, so down to the wire, and just such good drama in all those games. And I'm really looking forward to it. I think Arizona is going to come on top by 4 points in this one, 35-31 Wildcats.
I'd say that's a good prediction, and it's funny because players are already talking. We had Brandon McGee, who got quoted in Arizona Republic, and he said, I love to play in Tucson because the looks on their faces in 2010 was priceless. And it's funny because we did the same thing to them in 2011 in Sun Devil Stadium. So
Yeah, he can't really talk.
But Arizona needs to effectively get to Taylor Kelly. And what they did so well against Washington and against USC was get to Barkley, get to Keith Price, force him to the outside, shut down the wide receivers, and make him throw the ball out of bounds. Taylor Kelly has really come along in the last few weeks with huge games. If they're able to get to him, pressure him, remember this is only his first full year playing. If they're able to pressure him, he's not going to be able to do anything. Their backup quarterback, Eubank, all he does is run, so he's not going to be able to throw anything. Arizona shuts down Kelly. They win this game easily, I think, by 2-3 touchdowns.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The defense becomes that much better when they can apply the pressure to the quarterback. That's what allowed them to pick off Barkley twice, allowed them to pick off Keith Price 3 times or whatever in that Washington game. You know, it's all about, you know, if they can just get to the quarterback, like you were saying. Taylor Kelly, this is going to be his first game playing against Arizona, which I'm really looking forward to see how he responds to the crowd that he's going to be facing. All this pressure, the whole media, the whole circus that's going to be there.
Oh, because it's going to be a circus.
Oh,
it's going to be crazy. It's always going to be crazy.
I'm really looking forward to that, but like I said, 35-31 Wildcats in the end.
Yeah, and I think the real, I feel like our offense is better than ASU's and their defense is better than ours. So it's really who shows up this game on their offensive side and our defensive side. So
yeah, I'm with Evan on this one. They play the day after Thanksgiving. Obviously, they're going to be working hard all week. But I think
they're going to be stuffed.
Yeah.
And they're going to be full.
They're gonna be fed but I think playing at home will definitely play a role this weekend, just because it is a rivalry game. The boys are comfortable in Arizona Stadium. The only game they've won away was against Utah this weekend. So we'll see what happens with that this Friday night. When we come back, we'll tell you what Arizona basketball needs in order to go 3-0. This and more up next.
The former U of A Wildcat, you're watching UA TV. Don't change the channel.
Hello, and welcome to UA Tonight.
we are your hosts.
It's okay, you don't have to cut me off.
No way.
I'm like
Thank
literally
you so
obsessed. Ooh, baby, I've been stuck to you like glue. Baby,
It's all these travelers. I've never even been there.
For drunk driving after calling the cops on himself.
we thought that, you guys.
Oh my God!
Arizona basketball team will look to go 3-0 in McHale Center tomorrow night. The squad takes on Long Beach State. Evan, break down what the Wildcats need to do to walk away with a victory on Monday.
Well, we need to obviously lessen the turnovers. We had 19 turnovers last game. And, I mean, we want everyone to be playing the same way that they've been playing, really. I don't have a problem with how anyone's been playing. Just a little rundown. The Long Beach State they score about 60 points a game. We score about 77. The big thing is they average 19 turnovers, and we average 13.5. So, I mean, that's a problem for them. I don't think it's a problem for us just because I think we had a bad game just with turnovers. So, really, it's doing what we've been doing, eliminate the turnovers, and I mean, you have yourself a game. They do average, though, 39 rebounds a game, and we average 33. They're big. That's who we need to contain and just really out-rebound them. That's what I'm going with.
And Dan Jennings is that guy for them that's their big-time rebounder. He had 10 rebounds against the University of North Carolina. He had 9 against USC. So he's the big man that they're going to have to watch out for. Dan Jennings, remember that name, people. Also, they're going to have to shut down the senior James Ennis. He's their leading scorer. He's coming off an 18-point game against the Tar Heels. So he's another guy that you're going to have to look out for. If you can contain those two guys and just keep playing Wildcat basketball, keep passing the ball around well, and like you said, cut down those turnovers, then this should be an easy win for Arizona.
I don't think that this game is a walk in the park by any means.
No.
Long Beach State, coming off a very good season, was able to get to the March Madness tournament. They're still a pretty good team. They have 9 guys averaging over 15 minutes of play. They got depth. They got the same kind of depth we have, and they have the size, too, to keep up. My key to the game will be if Zeus can keep up down low with Dan Jennings. Zeus shown early that he's not very physical down low. He's not going to go up and get those rebounds.
Yeah.
He's like Pau Gasol. He's kind of soft right now, but he will pick that up. He's just a freshman, but he's going to get worked by Dan Jennings if he doesn't create space down low and make a physical play on the ball off the rim.
I agree with you in the fact that Caleb needs to be more aggressive. I do think that Jarrett is there to almost play that same position for him and give him the same amount of trouble. Caleb Tarczewski being soft is actually, I think it's a kind of a problem. Last game he had 6 rebounds, 8 points, which really isn't bad, but you have Solomon Hill getting just as many rebounds as you. Like, I don't feel like that's acceptable. Once again, he is a freshman. We can cut him some slack for a while, but I expect him to definitely step that up, and hopefully it's even in the next game that he does that.
I mean, for the guys that he matched up against like Humboldt State in the exhibition game, against Charleston Southern, they were the same size, but he got worked. He could not do anything down low. He's going to have a tough task this game against Dan Jennings. Obviously, Ashley's there to help. Jarrett's there to help. But a lot's going to be on his shoulders right now to stop him down low. So if he stops him, this is going to be a walk. This will be a pretty big win for Arizona.
Well, just keep in mind that they're coming off a 78-63. It's a 15-point loss to North Carolina Tar Heels. The Tar Heels are ranked number 11 in the country. We are number 12, so I expect a very similar score, around at least a 10-point win, I'd say, to sit if the Wildcats come out and play their best basketball.
Not to mention they did. This Long Beach State team did lose to USC 62-44. USC isn't a good ball squad.
Oh, no.
I mean, it shouldn't be a huge problem. Long Beach State may be hungry. They're trying to get on that national level. They're trying to get on the radar. Are they going to against Arizona? I don't think so.
No.
Well, yeah, I'm with you guys with the whole Caleb and being a little bit soft. My issue with it is that there's times where we can actually see how young this team really is.
Right.
And so they, come Texas, come Clemson, and then Florida at home, we're definitely going to have to fix those problems if we want to compete against a team like Florida. So they have a few weeks to do that, but someone that will help the team out is Mark Lyons. Joey, he leads the team in scoring for both wins against the Cats so far this season. He just, however, had 1 assist in the game against UTEP. Is it okay to have a shoot-first point guard like Lyons? And be able to make a run in the NCAA tournament?
I do think so, because Sean Miller knew what he was getting when he went out and got Mark Lyons, and because Mark Lyons, he's scored over 1,000 points in his time in Xavier.
Right.
So Sean Miller knew exactly what he was getting in Mark Lyons when he went out and recruited him, and through Mark Lyons' good scoring ability, he's led them to 3 NCAA tournament appearances, 2 Atlantic 10 tournament wins, and you got to also remember his career high in assists is just 10. That's not a very big number of assists for a point guard. And I also think that it's okay if Mark Lyons is a shoot-first kind of point guard for this Wildcats basketball team, because, sue me for saying this, but I think that he has the best jump shot on the team.
No, he has, obviously. I mean, you're scoring the way you are for a reason.
Yeah.
And the whole point for me is he is a point guard. He acts like one, in the sense of, not in the shooting sense, but in really controlling the team.
Running the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's the huddle with him. He's vocal. He's acting like a leader. People go to him for things. I mean, I don't have a problem with it. I do have a problem with him having 1 assist and 4 turnovers, but I don't have a problem with him not being huge on the assist board, because then you have backup like Jordan Mays. If you really want your pure point guard, Jordan Mays is, I don't know if he's pure point guard because he's a good shooter, but if you want that, you have it. And once again, also, Nick Johnson trying to play the point a little bit too. I liked Mark Lyons and Nick Johnson both together doing that.
I really like Mark Lyons as a shoot-first point guard.
Right.
What he does so well, so much better than the other point guards on this team, is drive to the hoop and score. And that's what he does. And he's able to do that so well. Then he drives and dishes it out and finds these guys open everywhere. So the fact that he's so good to the hoop and he has such a good shot is creating open shots and is allowing the Wildcats to jump on and pull on a pretty big lead. So the fact that he is a shoot-first point guard is perfect in this system.
And remember, guys, next year we're going to see a little bit more of a traditional point guard style when we have T.J. McConnell running the floor for us.
Pure point guard.
Well, the leadership role is always good. I think the only thing you have to look for, however, is to make sure that we're utilizing size. So if we have these players that are also equally talented, I do think that he needs to share a little bit of the possession, make sure that everyone is having enough time to drive. That way we're not on the arc so much that we're having 33 shots on the 3 in one game with so many big guys on the court. But stay tuned for the Cat Report and the NFL West Coast Rundown after this commercial break. Do not change the channel.
David Hasselhoff, the Hoff, get Hoff with UATV. Stay tuned, don't change the dial.
Come game time, pressure falls on the shoulders of this season's drum major.
For an entire week, there's golfing, food, drinks, and entertainment that doesn't stop when the sun goes down.
If you are not yet registered to vote, here's what an Arizona voter registration form looks like.
Bundle up, Wildcats, winter is almost here. Reporting from the UA Mall for Wildcats, I'm Shay Sorensen.
Welcome back, Arizona fans. We now give you the Cat Report. In men's swimming, Rafael Quintero won the platform championship by more than 40 points on Sunday. He helped lead the team at the meet. The women's team also came through. They beat Boise State in 13 of the 14 events. Women's basketball improved to 3-0 after defeating Cal State Northridge. They won 53-46 yesterday at the McHale Center. Number 5 women's cross country earned a 6th place finish at the NCAA championships yesterday in Louisville, Kentucky. On the men's side, Steven Sambu finished runner-up, and Laui Lalang was 3rd place behind him. Now over to Joey for the NFL West Coast Rundown.
The Arizona Cardinals headed to Atlanta to face the Falcons, losing this one 23-19.
San Diego Chargers.
In other news, the San Diego Chargers were on the road in Denver and came up short 30-22. The Oakland Raiders fell to the New Orleans Saints 38-17. And on Monday, the San Francisco 49ers will host the Chicago Bears. And that does it for the NFL West Coast Rundown. Sorry for the delay there, guys. The teleprompter was stalling.
All right, well, we're going to go ahead and take another quick break. When we return, we'll finish off the show with a game of 30 seconds. Don't change the channel.
Paint on my face.
The knife I lead is an alphabet dog. I may have fleas, but I run a yard. I see those clones looking down on me, but unlike those clones, this dog is free. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life, dog's life. Oh Lord, it's a dog's life.
With an undefeated 5-0 outcome for the Fall Classic Tournament.
The Occupy movement is taking hold because of its strength in numbers.
Tonight is the absolute last night to ride the trolley, as it is closing for 2 years.
I'm standing on what used to be known as Bear Down Field, which will soon be U of A's new practice field.
I'm Evan Murray, reporting from McHale Center with Wildcast.
Welcome back. It's that time again. Each analyst will have 30 seconds to talk about the sports topic of their choosing. Evan, you'll be up first. You've got 30 seconds starting now.
All right. I'm going to talk about Shabazz Muhammad, and he got cleared to play after receiving improper benefits. He got suspended 3 games, which they've already played, and then they had to pay back $1,600. I have a problem with this because 2 players from Indiana just got suspended for 9 games for receiving improper benefits from an AAU coach who donated $185 to IU. Like, that's not a huge donor. You're being dramatic, but really, for Shabazz, you're just letting him off the hook.
Joey, you have 30 seconds.
All right, so let me just talk about this recent trade in Major League Baseball that happened between the Miami Marlins and the Toronto Blue Jays. Pretty much, the Miami Marlins traded any reason to go to a Marlins game for prospects from the Toronto Blue Jays. They got rid of Jose Reyes, Josh Johnson, and Mark Burley. You know, and if I'm a Miami fan, you know, what is the reason to go to the games, guys? Now there's nobody really to go watch. They have a couple star players, and they just signed Juan Pierre or whatever. But you know, it was just a stupid trade overall, I think.
Danny, you're up next. Your 30 seconds starts now.
So, former Arizona Wildcats quarterback Nick Foles finally got the start in place of the injured Michael Vick. However, Foles, much like Vick, had a lot of problems dealing with the offensive line. He had no time to throw, sacked 4 times in this game, went 21 of 46, passing for 204 yards, 2 picks, one of which was tipped, but the other one was just a horrible throw. 7.2 QBR in his first game. A rough first outing, but he'll pick it up.
All right, great. Thanks, guys, for the input, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of Dorm Room Sports Chat. We'll be back next week, so don't miss out.